Made by people like you.
Your community.
Your radio.
Your Preston FM.
Now, hundreds of weapons have already been handed over to the police in the first 3 days of Lancashire's 5-week knife amnesty. And to tell us more about it, I'm pleased to welcome into the studio Detective Inspector Warren Atkinson. Warren, nice to meet you again.
Yeah, likewise, Hughie.
So this began on Monday, and within just a few days of the amnesty, results are to be seen.
Yeah, we're quite surprised by some of the kind of weapons that have been handed in, but obviously very pleased that so many are appearing in our bins so quickly.
And is this the first time that you've run this amnesty?
We ran a amnesty back in 2006, which yet again had very good results. I think we had something in the region, well over 1,000 weapons were handed in during that time. And clearly we're hopeful that we'll get some very good results throughout the month this time round as well.
I mean, is it quite a surprise when you run amnesties like this at the amount of items that are then offered?
Well, it is really. Obviously, as police officers, you deal with people who are found with knives quite regularly. I would point out that although that's the case for us, that that the relative amount of knife crime is very low, and particularly to other parts of the country. However, we don't want to rest on our laurels, and are very keen for people to sort of understand just how dangerous the knives are, the significant physical as well as psychological damage that knife injuries cause, and then clearly for people to hand their knives in anonymously, and that's a big part of this operation.
And every knife handed in is one less on the streets, or one less potential knife on the street.
Absolutely, and we've already had everything from sort of quite basic pocket knives all the way through to sort of machetes, hunting knives, even swords. So there's some significant weapons being delivered through to us.
So how does it work for people who are listening now, and maybe they've got some kind of knife or something that they have not known what to do with, and maybe they would like to put this forward? How does it work?
Well, basically, the last time we did this, the bins that we used were situated within inquiry desks. This time we've had 10 made specifically for this operation, and they're placed in outside the main police stations throughout the county. So there's one outside Preston for us, more particularly also Chorley and Skelmersdale for our part of the world. In the west of the county, you've got Lancaster, Morecambe, Fleetwood and Blackpool, and then to the east there's Burnley, Blackburn and Colne. So they all have bins outside, and the reason we do that is so that people can be completely anonymous and they can hand them in without any questions asked. All we would do is ask that people, if they are bringing weapons to the bins, that they wrap them up so that no one gets harmed, recovering them from the bin themselves. If people can't get to those bins, then clearly we will take them as long as they're properly packaged, wrapped in newspaper, for instance, so that our public inquiry assistants don't come to any harm. But they can hand them in at the inquiry desk as well, and we've had quite a few of those in those circumstances as well.
And what happens to them? I mean, are they destroyed, or can they be recycled, or can they be put to some good use after maybe, that they have been put forward?
Well, I know that some charities that deal with knife crime throughout the country have them melted down and make them into sort of small keys and medallions for young people who are sort of trying to get themselves onto the right path. So that's something that we're looking at, or we may even try and have a look at something being made, some kind of sculpture or something, depending on how many knives that we get recovered. But certainly want to do something significant with them rather than just, as you say, just melt them down. But they will be destroyed ultimately, one way or the other.
And as you say, I mean, it is one less on the streets, and recently there has been in the news some tragic cases that have taken place. But as you point out, knife crime is it's not a big problem, is it?
It's not a big problem, and statistically right across the country, and it's mirrored it within Lancashire, unfortunately a lot of people who are injured with knives are young people. And an interesting sort of figure to give you an idea is that people who end up going into hospital with knife injuries, 70% of those people are actually injured with their own knives. So my message is that, you know, you might think that you're arming yourself, but really you put yourself in a position where you either have to use the knife or it will be used on you. And clearly either scenario is not very good. And what the other thing we don't want is young people being criminalised. It's a serious offence. The government are looking at the sentencing guidelines and possibly bringing in new legislation around carrying knives because of obviously the damage that's caused, the cost to the NHS, the cost to the families, not only of the victim but obviously the offenders as well, because, you know, they're seeing their sons or daughters in prison for a very long time. So clearly it's not a good result for anybody.
So the amnesty is it takes place until when?
It runs up until the end of this month, so that's the 29th to 30th of September. Obviously, if people want to bring the knives in, they will still be able to do that, but this obviously is more aimed at the anonymity, so that people feel comfortable that as long as they've wrapped the weapon up, that they can come and dispose of those knives without fear of being prosecuted. What I would say is that for people who are habitually carrying knives out there, that obviously if our officers find those people in circumstances other than bringing them into the police station, they will be arrested and dealt with robustly as we would do normally.
So this is a really good opportunity to get rid of those knives.
Absolutely.
Is there, for people who maybe miss the collection points, is there anywhere online people can look where the collection points are identified? Yeah,
we do. Our sort of media team do a lot of work. So on the Facebook page, which is Lancashire Police, the details are all held on there. It's held on our Lancashire Police website, and also on the police Twitter account, which I think is @LancsPolice. There's lots of details there. There's posters. I'm happy for people to use those posters if they want to put those in prominent positions.
Okay, well, can I thank you for calling in this afternoon and telling us about it, Detective Inspector Warren Atkinson. Thank you, Warren. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Hughie.
103.2 Preston FM.
Keeping it local.